If you've ever tried soil blocking, but for whatever reason it didn't work out, whether the blocks kind of crumbled on you or the seeds didn't germinate, or when they did, the seedlings just stalled, you are not alone. Soil blocking can be one of the most effective ways to start seeds, but it's also one of the most misunderstood. Now when it works great, but when it goes south, well, there are a number of reasons for that. So in this video, I want to talk to you about the top 5 reasons that soil blocks fail. And most importantly, I want to give you the science behind what caused that and how to fix it so that you get it right every time. Now, mistake number 1 is not using the right type of soil mix. You don't want to use just potting soil or anything chunky. Soil blocks rely on what's called mechanical cohesion. If the mix is too chunky, there's not enough to bind the particles together and the blocks collapse. But what you're looking for is a fine textured fibrous mix that offers both strength and airspace. Now in my case, I'm using something that is a bit chunky, and you saw me in the last video, if you watched that, take this is ProMix BX, this is what I use. So it's a general purpose potting mix for germination and bumping up. But there's some wood particles in here and I'll take it out. But alternatively, you could sift this if you wanted to use this as kind of your one-stop shop soil. And there are a number of ways to do that, but you can buy really nice sifters like this that go right on top of a 5-gallon bucket. And you can also get different grid patterns in here depending on how finely you want to sift. So you can try that and put that in there. And this takes a little bit of time, but eventually you get to the texture that you want that doesn't have any of the big stuff in there. So that's great. And there are other sifters as well. This one happens to have a larger grid pattern in it. And so that's nice if you want to just get through faster. Now this will probably allow some of those pieces to get through. Now in my case, I also have a soil mix that was made for seed germination. And you can see the difference. Here it is. You can see how fine this is. There's really no wood in there at all, and it's pure softness. It's really finely ground perlite and peat moss, and that's probably about it. But when you compare that to this, you can somewhat see the difference, but trust me, this has a lot more of the thick stuff in there that you want to screen out if you can, or at least take it out. But you have options. You can buy it ready to go, or you can work through it with a sifter or hand remove the chunky things. Mistake number 2 is not getting the watering right when you're trying to make your blocking mix. Either too wet or too dry, both are problems. Now I talked about that in the last video, but I didn't show you what happens in both cases. So that's what I want to do right now, is demonstrate blocks that are too dry and those that are too wet when you're making them. So I've started to add some of the ProMix BX, and I've hand-picked out the chunky pieces as I've been able to find them. So just for demonstration purposes, that's enough for what I want to do, but I want to add just a little bit of water. On purpose, I'm going to not add as much as I should for this first example. Once you've done this a few times, you know that you're looking for kind of a little bit of a slurry brownie mix, but if you didn't know that and you thought that you had added enough water and you tried to make your blocks, they're going to fall apart. And I'm going to add a little bit more just to show you that it takes more than you think. For demonstration purposes, to me that's obviously dry, but you may not know that if you're new to soil blocking. Let's assume we think we've got it right here. And I didn't show you this soil blocker. This is more the traditional style where it's a 4-block system and you run your fingers through the handle and you push down with it like that. So I'll go ahead and press down on that. I'll move some more in here and make it mechanically cohesive through compression. And then I'll scrape off the bottom, make it nice and smooth like that. And this is what I'm going to make for my first attempt at soil blocks. Now this may stick together right from the start, and if it does, good. But I can tell you there's not enough moisture in here right now to keep it together. Well, you can see right there, look, there's still material here, and they don't look very good right there. So that's a demonstration to show you that this needs more water. So let's go back to the drawing board and add a lot of water here to show you the other side of the equation when you put too much water in here. Now for the record, I say that it's better to err on the side of too much water, because when you're doing the compression, a lot of that excess water will push out. But if it's too wet, it's too slippery too. Water is like a lubricant too. But it's amazing how absorbent peat moss is. Even with a lot of water, it sucks it up. Now, if I were doing this for real and I wanted just right soil block mixture, at this point, that looks visually good, but I would also squeeze it. I want to see water run out of here, like that, but I want to see it stick together when I release it. And there it's stuck together. So that's probably good. So I want to show you too much water, so I'm going to add the rest of that. Mix it together real quick. And this is very slurry. Should be on the too wet side. It should slip through. The block probably won't hold it. In fact, let me just dip that in the water to clean it up. Okay, let's try it. And this is what happens when the mix is too wet. So I'm pressing down, packing it in. See, it slips out before I even have a chance to compress it and put it into here. So there's an example of why you know it's too wet. It's not even staying in the form. So let's try it again to see if we can get that in there okay. Got it in there. Packing it in. Now it might work, but just by the fact that it didn't stick into that one cell, I know it's too wet. Okay, so that is holding together. It's a little sloppy, and that may have to do with the extra moisture in there. But in this case, the telltale sign was that it didn't even stay in the form. What you're trying to do is get it just right. So if it happens to be on the too wet side, that's easy to fix by just adding more of the soil mix, the dry mix, until you feel like you've got it to the right consistency. And if it's too dry, it's simply a matter of adding more water. Now, mistake number 3 on the list of soil blocking mistakes is insufficient seed to soil contact. Now, this is a subtle one, but it's really important because seeds are not going to germinate in an air pocket. They need access to a film of water, and the best way to do that when you're seed starting is to ensure that you've got water in your soil mix, or you add it shortly thereafter, because that's how they're going to imbibe the water up into the seed to initiate germination. So here's what I do, and you might find some nice tips here. This is my typical 72 soil blocks that I make with my Swift blocker. And although the Swift blocker has a bit of a dimple on it that makes some impressions into the soil block, I like to go a little bit deeper. So when I do that, I'm using the bottom part of a Sharpie, my trusty Sharpie, so it's good for a number of things, including increasing the dimple size. And once I have them slightly more depressed than they were from the blocker, I'll go ahead and sow my seeds. And I use this seed dispenser here, and I will just tap in a couple seeds per dimple. And I'm not worried at this point about getting them dead into the center of the dimple. That's where I'm going to come back and ensure good seed to soil contact. So I'll go through the process here, and let's assume that I've done this entire 72 cells. Let me just go ahead and get a few more done here. Okay. Now I'm coming back to my Sharpie, and this is where the seed to soil contact insurance policy comes into play. I'll take the bottom of my Sharpie and I will lightly push down on where I know the seed is, and I feel the soil block underneath it, so I know that I have seed to soil contact at this point. Now once all the seeds are sown, I can come back and do a light top dressing of more of the soil mix. But I prefer to use vermiculite. That's a natural mineral that when exposed to significant heat, it expands. And this is commonly used in soil mixes and media for seed starting and propagation. And I like it because when you sprinkle it across the top, first of all, it's easy to do, it's very lightweight, and it provides moisture because it's moisture retentive, and yet light can get through there for the seeds that need light to germinate. That's good for that. And the seeds will have no problem pushing up their growth through this vermiculite. So this has worked out very well for me, and that's what I tend to use. But this way, I know that I've got good seed to soil contact. I know what's on top will hold additional moisture, so I'm good to go. Making sure that you have sufficient moisture in contact with your seeds is one of the most common mistakes and an easy one to avoid. Now, once I get all my vermiculite spread lightly across the top, to ensure good seed to soil contact with sufficient moisture, I like to use this gooseneck squirt bottle so I can get precision watering right over where I know the seeds are without overdoing it. And this will hydrate the vermiculite and get some more water down into that dimple for the perfect combination as a final touch to the watering. Mistake number 4 is getting the watering right. Whether it's too much or not enough, both are a problem and they need to be corrected. Now, we tend to overwater more than anything else, and it's the number one reason plants die, but we want to water them. We want to do something, and unfortunately, when you apply too much water, you're pushing out the airspace that lives within and between the soil particles, and that's essential for life of the seedling. And when that is gone and it's replaced by water, basically the seedlings drown. Now, the opposite effect is not enough water, and with soil blocks, that's particularly a problem because the blocks are exposed on all sides. And here's what they look like when they get too dry. Now, I did this on purpose to show you the difference. They're very hard and they're more of a gray-brown versus this basil here. This is proper moisture and they're nice and dark, kind of a chocolatey color versus this. And this is what you don't want to have happen. Now, this is fixable by rehydrating the peat moss or the soil block. Now, what I like to do is bottom watering. I highly recommend that whether you're using plastic cell trays or soil blocks, because the water is absorbed or wicked up from underneath. And so what I use is a watering can that I know has the right amount of quantity so that I can fill this watering can and then lift up the tray and empty out the entire watering can into here. And I really love this combination of trays because this top tray is perforated, so there's lots of opportunity for the water to go right up into those blocks. And of course, this is nice and shallow too, so it's a nice low profile combination. So once I empty out this watering can, I just go ahead and place down the top tray, and then I just set it down, and I can see the water has come through into the top tray, but that water is going to disappear very rapidly because it is now being absorbed into those soil blocks. And in a matter of minutes, those blocks will change colors from this, brown gray to more of a chocolate gray. And that's the easiest way to hydrate it. Now, if I wanted to jump in there and intervene with a little additional watering across the top, because this is an active tray of pepper seedlings that are germinating, and there's still seeds in here that need to come up, of course. So as an extra bit of care, I can use this gooseneck squirt bottle and come through here and get right across the top where I know those seeds are, and that will give it a little extra water. And I'm not worried about overwatering at this point because they were almost bone dry, so they've got plenty of capacity to take in some water. So what you're after here is just to find the sweet spot between gray brown and chocolate brown. But chocolate brown is not bad, just don't have any standing water in the bottom. The water that you put in the bottom should be all absorbed without any remaining in the bottom. That's what you're shooting for. Now, number 5 of the top 5 mistakes of soil blocking failures has to do with transplanting, and it's failure to transplant your soil blocks in the proper amount of time. So what does that mean? Well, the biggest superpower with soil blocks is their ability to air root prune, where they'll grow their roots out to the edge of the block and then they'll stop growing, which is exactly what you want to do, because once they come in contact with other soil, they'll take off again. Now, when you have densely planted blocks, like a 72 cell tray, and they're in contact with a block next to them, they're going to grow their roots into that next block, but that's okay. When you get them in fresh soil, they're going to take off again. But the difference here with soil blocks versus a cell tray or a solid container is once those roots get to the edge, they have nowhere else to go and they're not air pruned, so they keep growing, but they tend to get into that circular root bound pattern. That doesn't happen with soil blocks. So at this point, the sweet spot really is 2 to 3 sets of true leaves, just like this pepper plant right here. and then they get potted up. And I think one of the other superpowers is the ease of transplanting. One of the things I love most about soil blocks is you simply place it into the container that you already have some soil in and then backfill it. There's no transplant shock, and it's a very quick, easy process. So the time that you spend on the front side, the extra time that is, you get back on the transplant side because it's so quick to transfer them from the original tray to the final tray. So top 5 recap on the 5 biggest mistakes with soil blocking: not getting the materials right when you're making your mix, not getting the moisture right when you're mixing it together, not having proper seed to soil contact, and when you build those blocks, not getting the watering right, and then when it's time to transplant, missing that perfect window of opportunity. Now, let me know in the comments if any of those were pain points for you in soil blocking, or if I missed something, I'd love to know that too. And if you'd like to take a deeper dive into soil blocking, let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll try to make a video on it. Thanks for watching.